So today we're going to look at, from a graph, how do you create an equation. And there's two different techniques. One is like the method I was supposed to show you in grade 9. That's what we're going to cover today. And I'm stop the lesson short, and then I'm going to teach you how you do it in grade 10. I honestly think the grade 10 method is easier, and so but I'm not going to teach you to do it next week because we have a long weekend between this class and next week, so I'll see you next day. So Tyson, grab your notes up. Tyson.
Yeah.
Notes, grab them up.
No.
Hmm?
No.
Why not?
I don't want to.
Let's start. So, I was saying that we are going to learn two different methods. The first method, I think is the harder method, is the way I was supposed to teach you this in grade 9, right? And you can always fall back on this method. The other method is grade 10, which we'll talk about next day. All right, so before we can learn how to create a equation from a graph, let's remind ourselves, if we have an equation, how do we graph it? All right, so we did this on day 1. In order to graph, we needed a couple of points, and I suggested having 4 points, but 4 points is a lot of work, so I'm going to say at least a minimum of 3 points, all right? And in day 1, I gave you x values to use, all right? Technically, you can use any x values. So Mr. Dhaliwal's suggestions is always use the numbers 0, 1, and 2. They tend to be the easiest ones for students to calculate. Not always, but typically those are the easiest ones, right? Then all we do is we use our equation to figure out the matching y value. So we can pick any 3 we want. We go over here. We go 2x plus 1. We stick in the number 0. So 2 times 0 plus 1, right? Yeah, 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. And we have our first point, 0 and 1. Right? So we go here. We go 0 and on the x and 1 on the y, and we draw a little dot. Right? Then we do it again. And we do for the next point. Right? And we have 2 times 1 plus 1. What does that equal? Oops. 3. Yeah, that jumped on me. Really jumped. We are right here. 3. You are right. So we put a point at x value of 1 up to 3. We go like that and draw. Then we go, hey, let's do it one more time. Right? 2 times 2 plus 1. What do we get for this one? 5. So 3, 2, and 5. There we go. Yeah. So then we grab our ruler, we connect the dots, right? And we have our straight line. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to draw my ruler, connect the straight line, and there we go. So you guys remember how to do this? Right? So now, I don't know if we need to do more practice. Do you want to do another one of these practice? No. No? You guys remember this?
Yes.
Okay, so now we need to go in the reverse direction. If I have this, how do we go back to this? Well, we just did a lesson on if you have a table, how do you go to an equation? So you need to go from our graph, create a table, then come up with the equation. Okay? So now, when you create your table, you need to be careful of the x values you pick. Technically, you can use any values you want. But if you go back to our last day and you said, hey, remember this one where it didn't work out because the x values were jumping up by 2, right? So my tip to you is when you create this table, just have the x values jumping up from 1 by 1. All right, it will avoid this kind of error coming up. So we're going to go back to the other side of this page here. Go back here and go, okay. So we have this graph. We want to create its equation, all right? Pick a point. I'm going to pick a point right there. Okay? I'm going to pick an easy point because it's right at 2 and right at crosshair, so I can read the value. So I'm going to make a table. I'm going to have an x column and I'm going to have a y column, right? X goes first, y goes second. At this spot, we're going to do it 3 of these here. My x value is 2. What is my y value here? What's my y value at this point? 1. So remember, we're just going from here. 2 and 1. Okay? Then, when we have a table, we need a couple of points so we can find the pattern, right? So at least 3 points. 4 are helpful. The next point, I have to pick. Right? You technically pick any spot on the line, but we're going to go easier. We're going to go 1 up from 2. That does not mean 4. That means the number 3. So I can go to the number 3. That's right here. And go up to the line and then draw a dot. And there is my next point. And so my x value here is 3. What is my y value? Here. Sorry? 3. Okay. I can do one more. Right? We go to our line. This time, I'm going to go 1 higher. So I'm going to go up to 4 this time. So I have my 4 here. I go up to the line, draw my dot. And I read over and grab my y value here. What do we have? So if x is 4, 5. That's 5. Okay. So now we have a table. And this table has a pattern, and we can create the equation, right? So what we're going to have an equation that is going to be y equals, and the pattern that we see is our coefficient. What's our pattern? Was it going up by each time? 2. A little plus 2. So we have a 2x. Okay. All right, so now, just like we did last time, is we need to figure out what do we need to add or subtract to make this equation work. So we go to here. We test it out. We have a 2x. Okay. And we plug in our point. We have 2 times 2 equals 4. What do we need to add or subtract to make it work? It should have been 1. All right?
Subtract 5.
3, yeah. Yeah, so minus 3. So minus 3. Then we just test it out in a different spot to make sure what we came up was right. So we go here, 2x minus 3, see if it works. 2 times 4 minus 3. So 12, not 12, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. It works. That's it. Right? So if you don't like the method that I show you next day, which I hope you do because that's the method you're going to use in science and in math next year, you can always go back to doing this method. Pick a point, create a table, find the pattern, do the equation exactly like we did day 3, just one extra step. Okay, so we're just going to stop right there because